Today we have a 2015 Silverado. It is stock, four-wheel drive, and it is too low. It needs to be more taller, so we're going to go ahead and get that done, and we're going to get it done as cheaply as possible.
This kit is made by Southern Truck that I bought from Rock Auto. You can see the current price is $75. It consists of spacers you put above and below the strut. You'll see the install here in just a minute.
Tools required. I use 1/4 inch drive impact, 1/2 inch drive impact, 15, 18, 7/8 sockets, 15, 18 millimeter wrench, extension, pry bar. Optional is 3/8 drive ratchet and vice grips. You lift the truck up off the ground several inches, secure on jack stands, and then remove the front wheels. Once the front wheels are off, go ahead and disconnect your front sway bar. This will allow your control arms to pick up and down, which will aid in the removal of the strut assembly and aid in your installation of the two spacers above and below the shock mounts. The idea before you start the job is to spray everything down that you're going to be disconnecting with a penetrating oil or WD-40. Special points to emphasize would be your sway bars, the ball joint on the upper control arm, and then the upper and lower shock mount bolt. If you've gotten your sway bar out of the way, go ahead and wrap off the two lower strut bolts. One side, I'm also doing on the other side. There's no sense in filming any repetition, which will just be boring for you guys to watch. Two lower bolts out of the way. Remove the jack, which was supporting the lower control arm, and then give everything a wiggle to make sure it's moving freely. Hood, and you're gonna wrap off those three upper strut mount nuts, and then the whole assembly is going to drop itself out right out the top. Third nut, boom shakalaka, it drops out, and that's as far as we need to take this apart. Once we get on from here, all it is going to be is adding parts back on. Like I said, the upper spacer is going to go on first. Lines up on these three studs. Be careful which way it goes on. It only goes on one way. Go ahead and move it back up into position. If you would like, you can put a nut on the top to hold it into position. I was wrong earlier and said that was as far as we need to take it apart. This ball joint needs to get cracked loose. All you're going to do, crack it and then hit it with a hammer and drop it down. The farther that I went was to make that nut even with the end of the ball joint itself. You'll see here in a minute, but that's as far as I needed it to go. Ball joint free, I was able to then move the lower arm just enough to get that bottom spacer into place. We'll see that here coming up. That nut is backed off. Go ahead and give the side of the spindle a couple love taps with your hammer. Do not hit the ball joint itself unless you really want to make your job last longer. This is installing the lower spacers. This is the part that I found to be the most frustrating, was getting that spacer lined up in the lower control arm and have the bolt holes line up between the lower arm, the spacer, and the strut itself. riding on the struggle bus just a little bit, but that pry bar came in handy on this trip. Now, maybe it was, doing this after a full day's work. Couldn't tell you. But I just found this to be the most annoying, and stupid bolts kept falling out. Either way, it's all over with now. Wrap them back into place. Screws are now installed, the upper and lower on both sides. Go ahead and tighten up the ball joint. I had it, once I got it moving just a little bit, it started to spin on me, so I grabbed the bottom end with the vice grips and then continued to tighten with that open-ended wrench. Short work, quick work, and then we moved on to tightening down everything else. Got everything tightened back up. It's time to put the wheels back on, tighten the lug nuts, and then get it lowered back down onto the ground. Grab a 1/2-inch impact, buzz those lug nuts back on, and make everybody cringe that you didn't use a torque stick or torque wrench. Watch them burn. Go ahead and tighten them in a circle instead of a star pattern, and all the keyboard commandos will come out of the woodwork for you. Last thing for me, right, truck's back down on the ground. We tightened our lug nuts in a circle pattern, and the last thing for us to do is to reconnect the sway bar weight on the vehicle. There you have it, just like that. Gooder than a goddamn. We are 2 1/4 inches taller. Truck looks much more gooder. My cost was free because I actually had this exact same lift setup or leveling kit setup on the silver truck, and when I put the 3.5-inch rough country lift on that, I took this one off and put this put it in a bin, and then when I got this bread truck, took it out of the bin and decided to recycle. So free and more taller equals more gooder, more betterer truck. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Merch and the shirts down in the description.